What's up guys, it's Jake Lewis and we're back with another mixing video. Today we got a song by Larry called Mass Appeal, and let's just jump straight into it. So we recorded and mixed this song back at the home studio last year, almost to the date. So Larry didn't get the track outs to the beat, so we're just working with the 2-track. There's literally nothing being done to it. I have a Pro Q3 on there, but that's just like in my template, and I just didn't do anything with the beat. Aside from doing, some production stuff, cuts, and stuff like that. So let's go straight into the vocal since that's all we really got, vocal and effects. So I'm gonna start from the hook, and here we go.
Ever since a little one was plotting on $1 million, what you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink, she'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think that they in the club.
Fire record, super fire song. I'm pretty stoked to actually dive into this. Let's just hop to the hook vocals real quick, and let's disable everything and just go through everything from the beginning of the chain to the end. Now, when I'm mixing, I don't mix like in a linear fashion like that. Sometimes I swap plugins around, like maybe I'll put in an EQ before or after a compressor, same with a De-Esser. But for simplicity, we're gonna go from the beginning of the chain to the end of the chain. So the first thing we got is auto-tune. And you'll notice I have the retune speed like pretty slow because obviously this is a rap song. We weren't looking for like a super auto-tune sound, but we still wanted it to sound melodically nice. So a slow retune speed, we bumped up the humanize knob a little bit, and then we kept the style on legato. And these style knobs here, or these 3 style settings, kind of affect like the transition from each note to another note. Legato is like super smooth and the most natural sounding, and then hard EFX is like once you switch a note, it's like super abrupt and it happens right away. So yeah, for this one, legato is the way to go. For any natural sounding, auto tune, go with legato. And next we got the VMR from Slate. We got the FGA knocking out 2 dB at 1.5, and then also at 600 hertz. At 1.5 is where you'll notice like a lot of mid-range harshness, and like if a vocal is punching out way too much and it's kind of abrupt, look at 1.5 and see how it softens the sound. You don't want to take away too much at 1.5 because then your vocal will be super hollow and there'll be no mid-range. But taking out a little bit at 1.5 is a good way to soften things up and set things back. 600 is just some low mids that I'm not really messing with, so take that out. And then the VCC channel just adds a little bit of color. There's like 6 different settings here that you can drive into. I usually use the USA revision, and it sounds pretty good. I also use the Brit N sometimes if I want, like, I feel like Brit N adds like a scoop like this to it. That's pretty nice. So you get like a nice like low end like smooth kind of bubbly feeling. But then USA revision is like a little more gritty and can help the vocal punch through a little bit more. And then we got the FGDS, which is pretty much my go-to favorite De-Esser. So I use it first because it sounds the most natural out of like most of the De-Essers I use, and it's low on CPU usage, so it's great. Highly recommend this. Usually around like 4.3, 4.4K, yeah, is where I'm dipping out. Keep it in the normal range, and it sounds natural. It sounds really good. And then I follow that up usually with a London saturator or the New York, depending on what I'm going for with the vocal mix. So London, I notice, adds like a really gritty low mid push that I thought was really good for Larry's vocals on this. But if I wanted something to add a little bit more clarity to the vocal and like add a little bit of not really top end but like upper mids, then New York would be the way to go. For this one, again, London seemed like the way to go. Let's listen to it before and after.
It's like ever since a little one was plotting on $1 million, what you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink, she'll laugh away from getting it up.
Yeah, that just set it back a little bit. That's where that 1.5 reduction really came into play there. Then we got another De-Esser at 4.7K.
It's like ever since a little one was plotting on $1 million, what you think? Next time I
barely tapping it. You don't want to do too much with de-essing. Ideally, you would go through and clip gain all of the S's yourself. But obviously, to save a little bit of time, De-Essers were invented, so use them. But like use multiple like in a row or throughout your chain, which you'll see that I do, and it makes the effect a little less obvious while still getting the result you want. And then I'm using the lo-fi trick here, 0.1 on distortion, helps the vocal cut through, makes it a little bit louder, but also like, I don't know, gives it this aggressiveness that maybe you've heard about this trick, but yeah, this is used by a lot of people. Let's hear before and after.
What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink, she'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think that they in the club. Sneak dissing, shadow sayonara cause the beat different. Swear they...
Yeah, punches forward a little bit. Now first in the hook bus, we got the SSL MV2 channel. I went through a phase with this for like, I don't know, 4 to 6 months where I was using this like all the time, mainly because the mic drive feature is pretty cool. And then you have different colors here, which is kind of, it changes the EQ response essentially. But I was really liking it for the frequency solo option. So if you have this selected and then you hit one of these knobs, it'll solo it.
Drink. She left away from getting it up. Roller right the way these kids think that they in.
Which is super useful if you just want to sweep the frequencies and see what's poking out, or if you already know what's annoying and you want to like dial in, you know, just a little bit more. Super useful. So it just looks like we're bumping a little bit, like 1.4K at or we're adding 1.4 dB at 8K and then taking away a little bit again at 1.5K. That frequency bothers me a lot. So that's pretty much all we're doing there. And then we go into another De-Esser, the Eosis Desser. This one is freaking phenomenal. This one's great. I use this on pretty much every vocal as well. And then we got the Pro Q3 over here, putting in some work. And I remember this 6.1K. I used the dynamic function of Pro Q. And the reason I did it here was because the 6K was super annoying during S's, but otherwise I like didn't mind it. So if we play real quick.
What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think that they in the club. Sneak.
Yeah, it's just every time those S's are hitting. And then I'm also applying a little boost, so this just compensates for that as well. Then we're also using the dynamics down here at 500, getting out some honkiness. It's not even a honkiness, it's like a boxiness. It doesn't sound good. Then we got 390. Don't like that. And then if you notice a vocal is like it's poking out a little bit as well, try reducing around 800 to 900 hertz. Not too much. You don't want to be too drastic with it. It's kind of similar to 1.5K in that way. If you take out too much, it's gonna sound like crap. So let's see what it sounds like.
Drink.
That'll help set it back a little bit. And then next we got the Pultec. I love this thing, especially this legacy version because it's stacked. You get a lot of EQ knobs on this one plugin. Looks like I'm actually adding a little bit of 700, so getting a little bit more weight in his voice. Taking out at about 500 again, taking out some of that honkiness, adding a little bit at 12K, and I make sure to keep the bandwidth on this specific plugin broad, and it adds like a really nice sheen, and it doesn't like emphasize that specific frequency too much. It raises everything around it as well, so it sounds really natural. And the main trick with this type of plugin here with the Pultec is doing a boost and attenuation at the same time, and you get a really interesting curve. If you don't know about it, look into the Pultec 100 boost and attenuation. It's used on drums a lot, but it works great on vocals as well. If you don't know about the trick, look into that. It sounds great. In this case, I wanted to boost a little bit more than I cut. And then we got the Puigchild 670. This plugin's sweet. I use this compressor a lot. I wish I had a real life version of it, but this works. So the two settings I use mainly for vocals are either 1 or 6, depending on what kind of style I'm going for. If I want the vocal to be a little bit more aggressive, I use 1. It's like a fast attack, fast release. So it gives you like a really aggressive in your face kind of compression. Whereas 6 is like, it's a slow attack and like a medium-ish kind of release. It feels softer and a little bit smoother. So it depends on the style you're going for. Let's see what it's doing.
What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think that they in the club. Sneak dissing. Shadow sayonara cause the beat.
And also 1 is a great way because the fast attack, fast release is great for controlling like super dynamic vocals too. Like especially with Larry, his vocals are super dynamic. And then we got Fresh Air. Fresh Air is so easy to overdo it. If I'm using this plugin, the max I'm like setting the percentage to is like 5. And even then, like that's a lot. It's a huge difference. So let's listen.
What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think that they in the club. Sneak dissing. Shadow side.
It adds like that kind of like vibe to it over the whole thing, dude. This plugin is great. Just don't overdo it. I know it sounds good. Don't do it too much though. And then Microshift.
What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think that they in the club. Sneak dissing. Shadow sayonara.
I'm pretty sure I got this trick from Alex Toomey. During COVID, he was streaming a lot, and he would go through all his mixes and kind of divulge all his tricks. This one I was liking a lot. This is a high pass right here, so everything above 8.3K is getting the Microshift effect. Really what this is doing is kind of like opening up that top end and making it less harsh and just kind of like spreading it out. So it's nice and like gooey. It can make it gooey. depending on like how tight or loose you make it, and then also the mix knob, of course. That trick helps a lot. If you go too low with it, like if I bring this down.
What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these.
It can like completely destroy your vocals. So you want to be like very sparse with it. I'm sending the lead to a parallel compressor down here. At the time I was using the MV2. I've pretty much transitioned to the BF or the CLA 76. But at the time I used this, and I just squashed the living hell out of it, and then just mix it in the taste. So that's here without, and I'll unmute it as we listen.
What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think.
That did a lot. Yeah, yeah. That gave it a lot of body and ensured that we don't lose it in the mix, in the midst of all the drums and the instruments and everything like that. Parallel compression, super useful, and you don't lose like any headroom when you do it. You can keep pushing it, and it's just getting like pushed underneath. You're not really losing much headroom, maybe a tiny bit, but for what you're getting out of it, it's very efficient. We got some doubles. I usually do 3 stacks, 1 up the middle, and then 2 hard left, hard right, or 1 hard left, 1 hard right, making 2 that are panned. 3 in total. And yeah, really just to make the hook sound a little bit wider, give it a little bit of depth as well. It just makes it sound like a hook.
Ever since a little one was plotting on $1 million, what you think? Next time.
Let's add the lead in there too, so we get full context.
Ever since a little one was plotting on $1 million, what you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She'll laugh away from getting it up. Roll.
And you can hear it too. I took out a lot of body from the doubles because I don't want that to be the main focus. It's really just to elevate and lift up the main vocal and just kind of surround it, not take away attention from it. If we disable all these plugins.
Ever since a little one was plotting on $1 million, what you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think that they in the club.
Boom, you know what I'm saying? So what do we got? I'm boosting a bunch at 8K, taking out a bunch at 3K, or 2.8K, because that's where a lot of presence from a vocal comes from, is around 3K, and a lot of harshness can also come from that as well. Took out a bunch at 1.2, which is like a big bulk of the body, and I'm taking out 6 dB, like a lot. And then I'm rolling off everything under like 400 hertz by 5 dB. And then we got a De-Esser, of course, because all these stacked vocals, when those S's kick in, if you don't have De-Essers on them individually, which you can see here, I have De-Essers on them individually and then also on the whole stack. Those S's are going to pile up, and then when it comes to, you know, the hook bus, you're going to be completely overcompensating. There's going to, like, for de-essing, because it's just going to be a huge stack of that frequency, and nothing you do will really fix it. And so you do get those S's down, it's going to make the artist sound like they have a lisp. So you want to attack it individually, and then in the subgroup, and then also in the main group. So just little chunks at a time. Pro DS is also a great one. It has a look ahead feature, which is super useful too. And we got VMR, and I'm killing it. Hey, as you can see here, I'm using the New York because I wanted that. I wanted a little bit more upper mids to be pushed through to give it that floaty feel. We don't want the girth from London, so I use that there. Another De-Esser. This is around 5K though. Nothing's happening here. This is just my preset. Like these first 4, that's what comes loaded in all my sessions. Custom opto is really great on Soothe, Pultec, just shaping it a lot. If I want a stack or an individual vocal to like sit behind, you know, a lead or just be like an ad lib in the back, what I'll do is like an obtuse angle here with the attack and the release. Set the attack, you know, pretty far to like 9 o'clock or something, and then the release to like 3 o'clock. And then you get this kind of angle, and that's like how it makes the vocal feel. It makes it feel like this, like it's in the back. Whereas, you know, if you kind of go with an acute angle and you bring the attack and make it slow, make the release really fast, you're gonna get something that's really pokey and really forward. And obviously these are doubles, and I want them to be tucked back, so that's what I'm going with. Let's see what it's doing.
Ever since a little one was plotting on $1 million, what you think?
Only about 3.5 dB of gain reduction, but with the Pultec, this is like you really hear and feel every dB that it's doing. I feel like with other compressors, they're almost more transparent, which is ironic because a lot of people say the Pultec is pretty transparent, but I feel like 1.5 dB that I shave off on the Pultec feels way more drastic and shapes the vocal or just like the audio source way more than maybe like a Puigchild 670 or even like an 1176. Like the Pultec definitely doesn't impart much color, in my opinion. I don't hear much color come from it. It's just mainly a shaping tool, and the shape always feels good with it too. It's always a smooth shape. And then we got the Pro Q, just taking out a little bit at 430. That's about it for the hook doubles. Yeah, we were having some fun with those for sure. That just adds a little bit more elevation, a little bit more flavor, a little bit more texture, makes it a little interesting. Boosting 7.5 at 3.5K and above. At 850 hertz, I'm taking out 8.5 dB. I'm not being shy here. 1.4K taking out 8 dB. I'm being heavy-handed. I know what I want, and I'm getting it. You know what I'm saying? 5K, dipping out of 5K, dipping out of 600 again. Since it's like a high-pitched vocal, my thought process is probably like, oh, I want it to be a little bit more like heavy. So I used the London, De-essing, of course, Puigchild, and I went with the 3-time constant.
Ever since the little one was plotting on a million.
Which seems to be like a slower attack with a slow release. So it's pretty smooth. MV2, since it's kind of a quiet vocal, you know, for him to get that high pitch like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to raise the floor of it, so you don't lose him. And then with the doubler, it seems like I actually, yeah, added some low octaves.
Ever since the little one was plotting on a million. What you think? Each time I get a little run, little drink, she laugh away from getting it up. Roll it right the way these kids think.
So that's the stacking for the hook pretty much. And then we got some ad-libs over here. Let's check those out, see what we did.
Get it up. Get it up.
Auto pan suite, it takes a lot of the work out of it. If you know what you want, you know you want it to be, you know, constantly on beat. Auto pan's a great way to do it. Verse.
Me in Venice, you can't put me next to them. That's a mean scrimmage. Ain't no passing around the torch unless it's weed in it. That's just how I feel. Living in a 2-bed trying to scratch a deal. Like who really be rapping over average still? Shit's a slick 250 till I crack the seal. Man, just have it when I'm ready. It's a package deal. Going automatic. If anything really mattered, it'd be massive pill.
The verse is probably gonna be similar to the hook. Yeah, it's looking pretty similar. The vocal felt a little bit slower. The song felt like it slowed down. So you know what? We're going with a smoother time constant 6.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about with the MV2. This is where you get magic from the MV2. So without it,
Yeah.
super quiet. We don't want super quiet. We want these ad-libs, although they're intimate, we want them to be pushed up so we can hear them. And that's where the MV2 comes in, and you actually raise the floor of the audio source. Great trick. Use it.
Yeah.
And then we got the bridge here.
If anything really mattered, it'd be massive pill. Waiting in the water while I'm jet skiing. Next meeting, tiptoe around like the whole fan sleeping. Gotta get it off the ground or the shit look greedy. Sing it with your chest and had a whole town. Ever since the little one was plotting on a million.
So it looks like we're actually taking away a little bit of AK. On the bridge, a lot of the drums cut out, the beat darkens, everything kind of darkens. And if we kept with that brightness, it just wouldn't feel right.
Waiting in the water while I'm jet skiing. Next meeting. Ground or the shit look greedy. Waiting in the water while I'm jet sound like the whole fan sleeping. Gotta get it off the. Sing it with your chest and. Skiing, next meeting. Whole fan sleeping. Gotta get it off the ground or the shit look greedy. Sing it with your chest and had a whole time.
Then we're using Soothe just to clean up more of that high end, take out all the really annoying resonant frequencies, and then we do an overall boost and cut out a little bit more resonance.
Waiting in the water while I'm jet skiing. Next meeting. Like the whole fan sleeping, gotta get it look greedy. Sing it with your chest and had a whole sound. Waiting in the water while I'm jet skiing. Next meeting. The whole fan sleeping, gotta get it off the ground or the shit look greedy. Sing it with your chest and had a whole town.
This Flanger plugin by Plugin Alliance is phenomenal. Love this Flanger. I've actually been kind of sleeping on it lately, but I went through a phase where I was using this a lot. If you don't have it, get a trial of it, use it.
Waiting in the water while I'm jet skiing. Next meeting. Tiptoe around like the whole fan sleeping. Gotta get it off the ground or the shit look greedy. Sing it with your chest and had a whole town.
And now all of those vocals, all of those submixes or subgroups like the bridge, the verse and the hook are all being sent to the all vocal or all vox, and they're being treated through this. So we got Soothe,
Waiting in the water while I'm jet ski.
VMR. This trick I got from my mentor, Robbie Rowland. Kind of like at the end of the chain, grab a compressor. He specifically like this one, the red FG401, and set the attack to fast, and then get like a fast to medium release. Kind of tap it like a little bit. Get maybe like max 1 dB of gain reduction.
Ever since the little one was plotting on $1 million. What you think?
It's really just to grab those peaks in the vocal and just tame them a little bit. It's not supposed to do anything crazy. And then we end it with the Kramer Tape. Well, dude, I love the Kramer Tape. This, you can get a lot of depth, you can get a lot of color, and you can almost EQ with it all at the same time. I use it a lot. Let me put you on game real quick. So the speed is where I get a lot. It feels like an EQ. So like on 15, which is set right now, it retains a lot of the high end. And then I feel like as you drive it, you actually get a little bit more top end. And then if you set it to 7.5, it shaves off a lot of top end and can really smooth out like a harsh vocal, or even a harsh record. You could put this on the master, and if things are just a little too crazy, you want the record to be a little darker, set it to 7.5, drive it a little bit, and it'll do that for you. It'll darken it for you. So like, yeah, you can get EQ through this. I'll show you an example.
Ever since the little one was plotting on $1 million. What you think? Each time I get a little run, little drink, she'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the
Crazy. I love it. I love it. So instead of reaching for an EQ just to add a little low pass or a high shelf, and you know what I'm saying, just use this and you'll get a color from it too at the same time. And then obviously you have your drive. The flux level is like a saturation level. I'll just show you.
Ever since the little one was plotting on $1 million. What you think? Each time I get a little run, little drink, she'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the
I use this a lot of the times in this kind of small area down here, like max 180, but I also use it stylistically. If there's like a rock record, I'll use it as one of like the first inserts on a vocal, and just to like get off the rip that feeling of that aggression, that grit. And you can really control it with the flux knob, and also obviously the input record level. Super sick. And then if you want to make it a little vibey, you can add some wow and flutter.
Ever since the little one was plotting on $1 million. What you think? Each time I get a little.
But just having a little bit between like 20 and 50%. It's not something you can really audibly like hear, but it kind of adds this like feeling to it of floating and texture. It keeps a digital signal specifically from feeling so linear. It kind of takes that linearity out of it. It makes it feel a little more organic. Noise, we want that off. We don't really want that. But this right here, so slap versus feedback. Feedback you can use for like some really sick effects if you automate the feedback knob. But I usually use it on a vocal with slap, in the slap mode, and just kind of dial in the milliseconds of the delay you want. And you can get really, really cool vocals and add a lot of really cool depth. On this one, on a lot of rap vocals, I'll still add the slap delay for a feeling of depth, but I'll keep it down like sub 5%. So it's really not audible unless you were to solo the vocal. But once you take away that slap, you would feel something's off. You're like, whoa, it's like the vocal's way too forward. It needs to get set back a little bit. We need more depth. That's really what I use it for. And then it has a low pass filter on it. You can just play with that. This plugin, love it. Fantastic. Eighth note. If you want like some really weird sounding delays, add little Alter Boy or any like pitch shifting plugin and just change the formant a little bit up or down. Of course, had to add the flanger, and it sounds sick.
Have it when I'm ready, it's a package deal, going automatic if anything really mattered.
Generally, I set this to plus or minus 3 dB, and I'm really trying to only shave off like max 2 dB with the clipping. I think at this moment in time last year, I was actually using, I had just gotten Ozone, and I thought the AI thing was cool. So what I would do was have the AI evaluate the record, and then I would go in and tweak each individual module. It can get you like an okay starting point, and then you can take it further.
Ever since the little one was plotting on $1 million. What you think? Each time I get a little run, little drink, she'll laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate the way these kids think that they in the club. Sneak dissing, shout out sayonara cause the beat different. Swear they dumb, deaf and blind with 3 wishes. Ever since the little one was plotting on $1 million. What you think? Each Next time I get a little run, little drink. She a laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate, the assess a little one was plotting on $1 million. What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She a laugh away from getting it up. Roller rate, the way these kids think that they in the club. Sneak dissing, shout out sayonara cause the beat different. Swear they dumb, deaf and blind with 3 wishes. Homie got up just to watch assess a little one was plotting on $1 million. What you think? Next time I get a little run, little drink. She a beat different. Swear they dumb, deaf and blind.
Negative 9.5 lufs. It's okay. It's okay. I think nowadays I could get it a little louder and actually have it sound better. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We get better every year. But that's like the record. If you want to listen to the song or say what's up to Larry, I'll have all his links in the description to my Instagrams and stuff in the description. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment in the comment section. I will get back to you. If you have video ideas, please drop them in the comments. I will get to it. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Deuces.